Alright YouTubers, what's happening? Got another knife video for you today. Looking at a HK Knives Exemplar. So, you guys may be familiar with HK. It used to be made by Benchmade. But they broke that agreement or whatever and went with Hogue knives. So, Hogue knives now make the HK series of knives. And this one was sent out to the pass-around group. I'm actually the last to get it because I won it. They actually gave it away to the pass-around group, and I was the lucky winner. So, I got it last, but now I get to do a review on it and keep it, which is cool. So, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. So, let's talk about some basics. Overall specs, 7.875 is your overall length with a 3 1/4 inch blade. Cutting edge is about 3 and 1.25 inches because of the little bit of a sharpening choil. You have a blade width of 1.25, a thickness of 0.12. It is 154 cm. Now, but HQ has it listed at CPM 154, which is a pretty significant difference in steels. Clip point, more of a harpoon blade, I would say, and stonewash finish. So, G10 handle scales, deep carry pocket clip that is absolutely ginormous. That's one thing we'll talk about. All right, so the obvious comparisons here for size are going to be Benchmade's because, you know, this is essentially an axis. This is an axis lock knife. They call it something different with Hogue. What they call it is escaping me. I'll check here in a sec. There's the bug out. So you can see here we got 3 knives that are all pretty close in size. The 940 and the bug out and the Exemplar, all using the same lock system, right? So I guess the question is, a lot of people are going to wonder, is how good is this lock? I'll tell you right now, it's really well done. Hogue did a fantastic job. Works just like an axis lock. In fact, in some ways, it's smoother than an axis lock. Depending on, now this is one example of a knife, and I've had many axis locks, but sometimes they can be a little stiff. Sometimes they can be that smooth. Sometimes they can be like this, where you kind of have to give them a shake and not as smooth. So another quick size comparison, since I got it here, is the Spyderco Shaman. These are both kind of like a little bit beefier knives, I think. The Shaman and the Exemplar. So just kind of a comparison there of those two. The Shaman's a little bit heavier, quite a bit heavier actually, a little bit bigger too, but both kind of heavier duty knives. You got pretty thick handle scales here. There's no back spacer, it's just all solid G10 all the way back, which I'm not actually a huge fan of. I wish they would have done some standoffs like the 940 and the bug out have. I wish they would have done that instead of just made this solid piece. You do have some jimping up here, which is nice, and jimping on the blade. So kind of typical. In the hand, ergonomics feel good. Before I get ahead of myself, though, I do like to try to stick to my latest format for videos, just so I don't ramble for too long. Plus, I'm kind of sick, as you can probably hear my voice, so less I talk, the better, so I don't want to ramble a ton. Okay, so fit and finish. How is the fit and finish on this knife? Being it's made by Hogue, it's really good. Hogue knives have a good reputation for fit and finish, at least in my experience. And this one is this is the same. It doesn't deviate from that path at all. It's got a nice fit and finish. The blade came centered. It's maybe a titch to the left, maybe. I mean, it could be. Yeah, it's a titch to the left, barely though. And it's nice and smooth action. So scales are nicely done, nicely contoured, and it's a comfortable knife. There's no sharp edges, things you kind of look for. No blade play. There's actually 0 blade play in this knife, which is cool. A lot of axis locks kind of tend to have that side-to-side play regardless. You kind of usually give up the action for a little side-to-side play. And this Hogue has a good action. It's not quite dropped shut. Let's see if it will. Almost. Good action though, and no play, which is great. So good fit and finish on that, as you'd expect from Hogue, made here in the United States. Your price point on this, just so you guys know, is $128, around there. Maybe find it a little bit cheaper. How are the ergonomics? Ergonomics are good on this knife. It's a little thick in handle, like I mentioned. I think it's, let's find out. Let's move that Spyderco box out of the way. I think we're 0.6. I'm not quite, 0.595. It's almost 0.6 inches thick, which is pretty thick. So it does fill the hand nicely if you were using it for a hotter use tasks that will fill the hand nicely. It's kind of a, kind of market, I think, as a more tactical knife, which I guess that makes sense for the thicker handle. But for an EDC purpose, it's a little thick for me. It's one thing I'm not a huge fan of. But the ergonomics on the handle are good. They're comfortable. There is a little bit of a hot spot created by this ginormous clip. If they would have just gone with a clip like the typical, I mean, I know it's not a Benchmade, but they could have done a similar clip to this, deep carry clip, and it would have been perfect. But they made this huge clip, and it does cause a little bit of a hot spot for me. Aesthetically, is it aesthetically pleasing? Yeah, it's a cool looking knife. It's definitely more geared towards the gun, with HK, the gun industry, being a little bit more like a firearm, with you got this like grip, almost like stippling on a frame of a handgun. You've got that kind of on the handle here. But the weird thing is, it's almost like a sticker. Like it feels like you could. It's not actually. Yeah, I don't know if it actually comes off or what, but it feels kind of like it's stuck on there instead of being part of the G10. So the G10 is nice and aesthetically pleasing. I like the blade shape quite a bit. I think that's a sick looking blade, that harpoon. I've always liked harpoons though. They're not, I mean, they have some good functionality too. You've got a nice, drop point style blade as far as this is concerned with your belly and stuff. Then you've got kind of a more tanto-ish, reverse tanto-ish tip, but it's, it's a harpoon. So I like it. I think harpoon blades are cool looking personally, but so aesthetically it's a nice knife. Action we kind of went over already. Nice detent. It does drop pretty much free with just disengaging. Not quite there. I haven't put any lube on this or anything. This just kind of came to me from the pass around group after multiple people handling it, so it's definitely smooth, no doubt about it. So it's got a nice action. What you kind of consider or would you expect from an Axis lock, in my opinion. All right, so we're going to measure the sliceability here. We're going to talk about thickness behind the edge. So it's about 0.0245 behind the edge, so it's a little thick behind the edge. Not horrible. In comparison, like your standard paramilitary 2s are about 20 thousandths. The Shaman, I think, is like 27. It's pretty thick. The Bug Out is like 17, so a lot thinner blades. So kind of in the middle there. More like, like a harder use knife, but the thing is, it doesn't need to be that thick behind the edge to be a harder use knife. That's just a manufacturing, I don't want to call it a shortcut, but it takes more time and money to grind these, these grinds thinner than they do. And so that's kind of one reason why they do it. Plus they don't want to, I don't know, maybe it's a liability. I don't know. I don't see why it would be, but so it's not going to be a fantastic slicer. It's going to cut. It's got pretty sharp edge, and it does cut well. I've used it. One thing I will tell you about Hogue, they actually have really good polished, almost coming from the factory with a little bit of a polish on the edge, which is nice. So it cuts well, but it's not going to be like some extreme slicer. How does it carry? This is where you have lots of problems. One, it's a little thick and heavy. It's not terribly heavy, but it's thick in the handle. And my scale is MIA. What in the actual... Oh, there it is. I found it. Gonna give you a weight on this guy. 4.3 ounces. So it's not terribly heavy or anything. But it is a little thick in the pocket, and the clip obviously carries deeply. I don't think I need to demonstrate that. You can see that. But not weight. I mean, you're going to have that little bit of a lanyard attachment, so if you want to put a lanyard hole sticking out your pockets, you're going to have, roughly that much sticking up. But look how, I got to demonstrate actually. It's such a wide clip. It's crazy. So it's kind of a pocket hog, this knife. So you can see it does carry very nice and deep. It has a little bit of a knife, a little to get coming up, but it's just such a big, fat, wide pocket clip. It takes away from the aesthetics of the knife too. One of the things I don't love about it, when you flip it over, you're like, So hopefully, you're kind of thinking, oh, it's okay, just swap a Benchmade clip on there. Nope, they made the holes wider. So these clips do not work. In fact, the Hogue Ritter knife that came out before this one doesn't even have the same clip pattern. So really strange. I'm not sure what they were thinking on that. Value-wise, it's, $130, 154 CM. Pretty good. That's not bad. The You can get some S30 knives in that range, but, you know, not a horrible value, not fantastic, not horrible either. For me, this is just not going to be a keeper, I don't think. There's no X factor for me to really, you know, I like that they did a good job with the axis lock. I like their, you can see they've got like a different design on the lock, which looks pretty cool compared to like your standard Benchmade. So I like the way it looks of the axis lock better on this. They did an excellent job executing the axis lock. It's really smooth. You can middle finger flick it. It's nice, but just a little too thick on the handle. I would have liked to seen it lightened up a little bit with some barrel spacers instead of just 2 slabs of G10. I don't love the, oh, almost dropped it. I don't love the tape stuff on here, and the pocket clip's a big fat no. I mean, wow. Just takes up like half the knife, more than half the knife. And it's not just in length, but in width. It's like, it's just overbearing. It's huge. So overall, a good knife though. Hogue is a great manufacturer of knives, and I've had nothing but good luck with Hogue. So if you want it, you know, if you like it and can get past the pocket clip and some other stuff, you know, it's definitely a good value, and it's definitely an overall good knife, for sure. Nothing wrong with 154 cm. It's not, you know, a fantastic steel anymore, but it's, you know, it's pretty easy to sharpen. It holds an edge decently, so it's not bad. But here we get to the fun part, is I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway for this knife. So it was graciously given to us by Hogue for the pass around group. Then I won it, so I'm actually gonna pay it forward and give this away. No, not on this video, so don't comment or anything. I'm actually gonna do everything on Instagram, and it's gonna include a lot more prizes than just this knife. I've got one more thing coming that I'm waiting on, and then I'm gonna do it live, or not live, but I'm gonna do a giveaway on my Instagram. So make sure you go follow me. It's EDC Gear Reviews, EDC Gear and Gun Reviews, all one word. It's also linked in my YouTube, like about section of my channel. It should be there, but as well I'll put it in the link in the description, so you can just click on it if you want to from your phone or whatever. But yeah, pay attention to that. It's coming up soon. Just waiting for one item to show up. It should be here early this next week, and we'll go ahead and do the giveaway. Some people have donated some products, which is awesome. It's going to be very much an EDC themed giveaway, but we're going to be giving away this knife, so stay tuned for that. All right guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.